What's up, y'all? I am back for another video. Today we are reviewing. This is one I actually didn't even plan on reviewing. But I watched with a group of friends on Discord the other night, or last night, I guess technically it would be. I'm reviewing a movie that I didn't plan on watching. I didn't even necessarily even see a trailer. I just saw a friend mention it's called Ricky Stanicky with John Cena. Um, but I didn't actually know who else was in the movie. But we watched the movie, and I was going into this one thinking it was gonna be kind of shit because John Cena was in it, and I'm like, it's on Netflix, on Amazon. I didn't think it was gonna be good, so I was me and my friends were kind of ready to kind of go into it. To be honest, I was ready to fucking shit on it. I was ready to okay, we're making fun of it. And shockingly, this movie was good. I'm not going to say it was great or anything. It's not one of the greatest comedies ever made, but it had some good jokes. I liked the story. These group of friends, Dean, Wes, and JT. Wes played by Dean, who's the main one, played by Zac Efron, who I think he has had a great turnaround. I know because I knew him as a high school musical guy. But he has really come far from that. I mean, just in Iron Claw, obviously, but even in just like these raunchy comedies he's been doing. And I think he's genuinely a funny dude. He's probably like my favorite of the three main ones. Wes is the weird white liberal dude who some of his jokes land, but he has some weird lines. JT he's the gay black guy, which I'm just gonna say it. I don't have a problem with gay people, but I am kind of over the black gay trope. It is kind of tired, but the character himself was fine. It's nothing against, not even really against the character. I'm just tired of that trope, But this comedy just felt like an old school comedy. These group of friends, prank one of the neighbors. It goes wrong. The house ends up going on fire. So they use the name Ricky Stanicky as this out of town kid, so to take the blame, and they pretty much use them there's a little almost, I don't know if it's I don't know what to call it, an animated little thing playing, which kind of gives you an idea of what that pretty much they have been using Ricky Stanicky as a fall guy for basically to avoid getting in trouble and get rid of life obligations. And that's how this movie starts, where the friends get out of going to basically a baby shower, and they end up getting tickets to Mark. I do not know who this is. They basically go to Atlantic City, and that's where they meet Rock Hard Rod, he's an actor who basically does sex-based songs of actual songs. And I'll admit, it's not bad. I mean, I was laughing. I was like, I'm actually laughing at this. And I didn't think I would, but the friends have a nice vibe together. They actually feel this feels like an old school comedy. These friends, and then unfortunately, Wes's wife goes into labor early. And basically they have to fly back and say they have to use Ricky Stanicky again. And basically, Ricky Stanicky now has to be forced basically to go to this. It's called the Briss. I do not know what this. It's some kind of party, and basically to prove this existence. And that's when they hire Rock Hard Rod to play him, and then basically the hijinks happen. And that's essentially the movie. And he was so good that even Summer Hayes, who's Dean and Wes's boss, end up hiring him, and they basically try to get rid of him, because you have that aspect where they starting to get jealous of him. But it's just genuine. Even the way it ends, it has a wholesome ending to it, and I didn't think this was gonna be good. I didn't really thought going in this was gonna be a piece of shit, and it was actually pretty good. And I'm gonna say it, in terms of acting, I think John Cena was the best actor in the movie as Rock Hard Rod. Some of his jokes were a little forced, but I definitely think the scenes where he's actually genuinely showing his real self, I actually thought he really did a good job acting in it. Of the wrestling actors, I'm gonna be honest, I think John Cena is the best one. it's tied between Cena and Batista, but I think Cena really can showcase emotion. Like he actually knows. I think he's funny. He's like pretty funny in this. He got a few laughs out of me, and he actually had some genuine acting moments in it. And it's that kind of movie where the friends have to hide this truth from coming out. Obviously, there's a moment it comes out, and then they have to right the wrong towards the end of it. William H. Macy's actually pretty funny. It is Summer Hayes, the boss. Like, I thought he was a pretty funny character. Like, I thought everyone was pretty funny in it. I actually think I would watch this again. I don't know when I'll watch it again, but I definitely would watch it again. Like, it sucks that they didn't put this in theaters. I'd actually go see it in theaters. Like, this was a nice, good comedy that we needed. There's little woke lines here and there, but I can kind of get over it. Like, it's not like it's the whole movie, and they still make fun of shit. And it's still like, you gotta laugh out of me. I mean, if you can do that, a modern comedy getting a laugh out of me. I think what sucks, though, is that unfortunately a lot of these comedies now are just almost like relegated to streaming. They don't like want to put them in the theater anymore. I don't know if they just. It's weird because comedies you are relatively. Hollywood should love making comedies, especially just comedies like this. There's not a lot. There's no special effects. You're not. You don't have to use like the volume or any of the crazy like. You just have to use sets. You're doing comedy. You just have to do skits. Simple. You don't have to do anything crazy. So the budget isn't big. You don't have to have a giant budget for a comedy movie. And the fact that Hollywood just doesn't want to do it, or they want to just relegate them to streaming, is weird to me. Because I would have gone to see it. I don't think I'd see it in the theater for the first time watching it. I probably would have streamed it first, but now having seen it, I actually would have I wouldn't be like, yeah, I would actually support this in the theater, because that's one of the reasons I decided to do a video. Is like I kind of figured, Tyler asked me to do it, but I also kind of figured too, I want to talk about shit I like, especially the last few days. I have been talking I've been watching a lot of trash lately and reviewing a lot of trash lately. So I figured, why not talk about something that's actually pretty good, that's new. I don't want to harp on just all bad movies, the whole time. I figure, why not talk about something I liked? So, yeah, just saying it again, I would have actually made this in the theaters. So it sucks that they didn't release this in theaters and it just was only on streaming. But it is what it is. But if I were to give this movie out of 10, like a 7, it's a pretty fun movie. I think it's solid. It has a pretty nice, wholesome ending to it. It's legit funny. It doesn't have a problem being raunchy, but it's not overly raunchy where it's cringy. But it's like, yeah, it feels like a 90s, early to mid 2000s comedy that I feel like is really missing. And unfortunately, it sucks that a lot of these kind of comedies are only going to be on streaming these days. That's what it seems like, that it's just going to be streaming. I guess Hollywood just doesn't see the money in putting like in the marketing for the theater. I guess they don't think people are gonna pay money to see this. They just figure it's easier to just put these on streaming. I guess it's frustrating a little bit, because it's like, when something's actually pretty good, when you have one of these movies that's on streaming that's actually pretty good, I want to support it in the theater, but I can't. So you should have released this, or at least release it simultaneously. But I guess it's only an exclusive deal they had, I guess. Because some of the names in this movie, you could release this in theaters and you probably would have made, I'm not saying a lot of money, but I mean, Anyone But You is kind of, I know that's a more romantic comedy, but that kind of should show Hollywood, like, you know what, you can release, I know it's a romantic comedy, but even just a straightforward comedy that people like, I think people will pay money for it, It doesn't really seem like the only comedies that maybe somewhat go into theaters shit like that dog movie. I forget, I can't think of the name right now. But that dog movie where there's a lot of cursing, and that's just because that's voice acting. It seems like the only kind of comedy that can go over well, it has to be comedy mixed with some other genre, like an action comedy, obviously like the Marvel movies. That's like the only comedy that can go in the theater. Like a straightforward comedy like this, I guess Hollywood just doesn't see the money in investing and putting it in the theater. They're just like putting it on streaming. So, but 7 out of 10 movie. I genuinely liked it. I'm actually gonna check it out again. I don't know when. Probably maybe in a month or so. Maybe check it out soon. Tomorrow I will be reviewing Pooh, Blood, and Honey 2. I saw it's on a site, so I'm gonna watch it. I was gonna watch it tonight, but I might watch it tomorrow. But yeah, I'll watch it tomorrow and then review it tomorrow. That's the plan. Um, so we'll see if it holds up. I liked the first one for what it was. Not objectively a great movie, but it was entertaining enough. So if this one can kind of just be like that, I'll be fine. So I'll be doing that Monday. Tuesday, we'll be doing Police Academy 4. Wednesday, we'll be doing Wednesday, I'll be doing Possessions finally for Bad Movie Wednesdays. Thursday, I'll be doing Safe. So we're going to do one more Jason Statham film because I've actually never seen this one. It's called Safe. I've never seen it. I don't even think I've heard of it. So figure why not check that one out. And then I'll figure out what we're going to do on Thursdays next after that, because I kind of think we've done a lot of Jade's main ones now, so probably going to move away from him for a little bit until, something new comes out. So maybe I'll look for, like, another action star to find some of his movies to review. Maybe, like, Wesley Snipes, that would be a fun one sometime. But, yeah. And then Friday, I'm going to be seeing that Monkey Man movie. So I might review that. It's a might, just because if it's kind of meh, I don't think I'm gonna do a video on it. If it's meh, I might just talk about something else on Friday. But actually, you know what? If I'm in the mood tomorrow, I might do 2 videos. I'm gonna do the Pooh, Blood, and Honey 2, but I might sometime in the morning. We'll see. I might do a fixing on Godzilla X Kong. I kind of want to do a fixing, and not even a fixing. It's gonna be a rewriting. I'm like literally gonna be rewriting everything, because I'll spoil it right now. It's not gonna be a Godzilla X Kong. It's not gonna be the same movie. Like I normally do, I'll sometimes take the movie with what they know. I'm gonna actually. This one requires it's almost an entire rewrite of the whole premise. So basically, I'll give you like a short version. I'm gonna do a Godzilla film, a solo Godzilla film. I'm basically gonna be pitching a Godzilla film and a solo King Kong film. That's basically my idea, because that's what Godzilla X Kong was. 2 movies shoved into one. It really didn't. Godzilla didn't need to be in this. This should have just been a Kong movie, and then Godzilla has his own story. But that's basically what I'm gonna do. But I'll be doing that. I'll try to do that one maybe sometime in the afternoon or in the morning, and then in the evening, review Pooh, Blood, and Honey 2. And then, Friday, for right now, I'll just say Monkey Man, but if it's really meh, I'll probably won't. And, but anyways, guys, it's so far my schedule this week. But yeah, let's get into Ricky Stanicky. So the movie starts, we see them as kids. It starts Halloween 1999. One of them's dressed as Austin Powers, which was pretty funny, because, Austin Powers Spy Shaggy came out that year. So they end up doing a prank on a neighbor's house, leaving thing of duty, but it ends up catching fire. And because they lit it on fire, but it was supposed to be. But it ends up, the fire starts spreading. It basically causes a major fire. And then basically Dean writes the name Ricky Stanicky on a pair of underwear. Not underwear, like one of the Halloween costumes, basically to make it seem like Ricky Stanicky was this made-up kid they came up with who's out of town, to basically responsible for the prank, and they basically just throughout the years start using him to get out of trouble, basically. And the movie starts where JT um, and his wife are throwing a baby shower, and Dean, who's married, not married, he has a girlfriend named Erin, and his whole thing is he doesn't want kids at the moment, and so we find out that Wes. So I got the names wrong. So Wes was the gay guy. So Wes calls the group as Ricky. Says he has cancer and that basically come down to hang out with them, but in reality they're going to some concert um, in Atlantic City, and they go down there, and this is where we see the Bible of Ricky, basically going through all the years what Ricky has done as a character, and this is where they meet Rock Hard Rod at a bar or like a casino. And obviously they don't like him at first, and but Dean gives him a call. Basically, Dean gets Rod's number basically, and they have to hurry back because Dean realizes they got multiple calls. It turns out that Susan ended up having the baby, and JT's mom or mother-in-law, not his actual mom, mother-in-law, who I'll admit she's actually a pretty funny character. She was, making fun of his hippie shit. Like, this movie didn't have a problem making fun of some of, like, not necessarily liberal, but a little bit of woke stuff. But there is some woke lines in it, but it doesn't ruin the movie. And it's mainly in the beginning where I feel like you more have the woke lines. I feel like they dialed it back once the movie actually gets pretty much going. So JT's mother-in-law basically doubts that Ricky is real, and basically, so Wes nearly tells the truth, but Dean pivots to basically spin it on Ricky, and basically Leona suggests, oh, Ricky shows up at the Breeze, that basically prove it's real. So he basically hires Rod to play Ricky, and that's when he gives him the Bible of, Ricky, and I'll admit, Cena was pretty good in this movie. Like, he was genuinely funny in this movie. Like, I didn't feel like because in a lot of his other, like, up until this point, I'll admit I didn't like Cena in a lot of things. I thought he was decent in Fast X. He was alright in the First Marine and 12 Rounds. So I think he is a better actor in The Rock in that sense, because I can name more movies I like him in, And I'll admit, Cena's pretty funny in this, because some movies I'm going to say it, Peacemaker is like the perfect example. I think he tries way too hard with Peacemaker. Like, he was so cringy in Suicide Squad. So I feel like it's like he dialed it back in this, and it's like he's actually pretty funny. I didn't feel like he spammed jokes. Him basically posing as Ricky was pretty funny. Like, he had the part with Summer Hayes where he was talking about like I'll just say rich guy shit. It was like stocks and all that, and they were like arguing about that. You had the scene with Leona where he basically she asked all these crazy questions to prove Ricky wrong, to stop Ricky. Ricky just knew, or Rod basically knew all the answers. It was pretty funny. Like, it was, and I thought he had a pretty good chemistry, like, being part of the group, So, so he ends up, another guest shows up who turns out to be, like, some actor in a commercial, because Rod makes it seem like he knows the guy personally, but we come to find out, no, he just knows him from a commercial. But he ends up trying to drug Paul. I think the character's name is Gary, because they end up trying to drug him with a ketamine pill. But the rabbi, played by hold on, I can't think of his name right now. Jeff Ross, who's pretty funny. I've seen him. He's in like a lot of I think he's in a lot of the Comedy Central roasts. I thought he was pretty funny in this for the little bit he had in this movie. And he's pretty high on ketamine, and basically he's supposed to give a circumcision. he ends up doing a half of one, and then fucking Rod ends up giving one in the funniest way. He uses a fucking cigar cutter to cut. Like, wow. So, Summer Hayes reveals to Dean and JT that he ended up hiring, because they're doing some merger. He ended up hiring Rod, because they thought they finally got rid of Rod. And Erin also says she's gonna be doing like a Hero of the Week special on Ricky Stanicky. So this is kind of, getting close to that point where the lie is starting to close in on itself. And basically, Ricky starts having a job. It gets a job at the business, and basically, you have some funny scenes where JT and Dean try to get rid of him, and every time they try to get rid of him, he ends up doing better. Like, there's a scene where because the boss makes a motion where it looks like he's sucking a dick, basically. And Cena points it out to the boss. And he thinks, oh, he's gonna get him fired. He's actually like, there's a scene where this is where he gets made the head, and it's like just funny, like just how often he does it. Like, I'm like, wow, the comedic timing is legit good in this. I wasn't ready. I'll admit, I wasn't ready for the fucking comedy to hit. I thought this was gonna be absolute shit. I was ready to roast it. I was thinking like, yeah, it's John Cena. It's probably gonna be very cringy comedy, and it was pretty great, And 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 then this is where in the scene where he legally changed his name is pretty funny. Because he knows, like, you have a scene where between Eric and not Eric, scene between Dean and Rod, where he basically tells, like, Rod basically tells him, like, this persona like really changed my life. If I go back to being Ricky, I'm just a hot rod. I'm just gonna be an alcoholic. Like, Cena's acting in this scene was really good, and the fact, like, keep in mind, this was coming off of Zac Efron doing the Iron Claw, which in my opinion is somewhat my favorite. His performance in that is like fucking incredible. So for him to come off that, and that the fact that Cena can hang with him in a scene, and I thought they were pretty funny together. Dean mentioning that, like, if this comes out, my life's over. So, and this is where the next morning, Erin pretty much reveals that she knew. Oh, I should have mentioned there was a quick gag earlier in the movie where a geese attacked the lady's dog and was trying to drown him. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't laugh at that, but the way they did it was pretty. And the dog wasn't harmed or anything. This goose was just so aggressive, and it just. That's what I mean. This just felt like I'm like, wow, this is like a throwback kind of comedy. We don't. The fact that this should have been in theaters, but I guess they didn't feel like it would make enough money to release in theaters, so they just figured just go and keep it on streaming. Or it was one of those things where they had a deal and they made a deal for it to be on the streaming service. It could be that too. So, but anyway. So pretty much Erin reveals that she knows Ricky was a fraud, and she's pretty disappointed in Dean, and pretty much it's implied like she breaks up with him pretty much. So he goes to the party, and pretty much at this point Dean just admits he's a fraud. He gets fired, And it turns out the story starts, and it turns out that Aaron still did the thing because she saw that these guys actually helped this guy get out of, you know, it actually almost becomes like that what these guys did for him changed his life, and it got him out of drinking, and and then that's what caused them the merger to go through. Ricky Dean basically gets rehired. Him and Aaron essentially get back together. Um, and pretty much everything's good at this point. I mean, because the movie just pretty much kind of ends at this party. Um, then there's a scene where Cena gets with I'm trying to remember the girl's name because he starts dating this girl throughout the film. They don't. It's not really. I'll just say it's one of the friends of the party, of the group earlier on that they meet. John Cena starts dating her basically, and yeah, and and also throughout the film, you see these big, tall dude coming after John, after Rod. They think it's like some loan sharks, but no, they're just some like insurance company or something like that. It was pretty funny when we get the reveal, and yeah, so they all became friends. Everyone's happy. Yeah, it's just kind of. You get a scene of like a montage of like while the movie's ending of them what they're doing on like Instagram. But yeah, the movie itself is pretty good. The fact that we got a decent comedy that like I felt like a throwback comedy was shocking to me. Is especially in today's climate when it's hard to be funny with the PC, all that, the PC environment and all that. So for us to get a comedy like this, and like I said, it has a wholesome ending. Like I thought the ending was like, wow, okay, gets you not in the feels, but it's like, all right, you want to give me, it's a nice little happy ending. I thought the comedy was there. It wasn't. It felt like an old school comedy, not like current. The other problem with comedy too, it becomes pogged down with this like MCU humor style of humor that I just feel like that's gotten to everything. That's like the only kind of comedy we can do now. So the fact that we got a legit comedy that just was a normal comedy it's kind of crazy. And yeah, I'm gonna say it. John Cena is probably the best wrestler actor. I think he can actually convey being serious. He knows how to be funny. I'm not saying every movie he makes is good. Like I'll be honest, I don't like him as Peacemaker, but I thought he was pretty good in this movie. Like I can't. I have to be honest. So um, I like this movie. Like that's all I can say. I'm definitely gonna watch it again. Funny characters. Zac Efron was great. Zac Efron is he's a master at these movies in my opinion. Nowadays, like he is like the last like I don't know since like 2015, 16. He's been just on this like run of doing like just raunchy comedies, and I think he's a master of it at him now. Like he really he nails it as that main character. Like this feels like an old school comedy, like that would have came out like even around the time of like an American Pie. Maybe it's not as raunchy as that kind of movie, but it's very much in the vein of it. So 7 out of 10, I very much recommend. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to review it. Figure why not talk about something I like since I've been shitting on movies the last few days. So why not talk about something I actually like for once? So yeah, that's all I really got about this. Tomorrow, I'll be potentially doing 2 movie videos. I'll be doing one on fixing Godzilla X Kong, and then later tomorrow I'll be reviewing Pooh, Blood, and Honey 2. We'll see if it holds up. I like the first one for what it was, so we'll see if this one has that kind of same feel to it. I've heard a bit more positive opinions. I know a lot of people didn't like the first one, so I've heard from people who have seen the second one that it's in the same vein, but at least but I've seen more positive opinions on it compared to the first one, so I'm interested to see. So other than that, y'all, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Go see this movie. It's on Amazon. It's only like an hour and a half. It's not a long movie. It's an old school throwback comedy. If you've been missing that kind of movie, watch it. So It's better than that Roadhouse remake, which guys, I was originally gonna try to watch it, so maybe I'll review it probably today or tomorrow or yesterday or today, but I couldn't get past like 45 minutes, man. It was so bland, and I'm just like, there's a lot of this left, and like I can't do it, dude. If I keep watching, I'm gonna probably pass the fuck out anyway. So I probably wouldn't have even finished it anyway. So I figured just cut my losses, not just sit here potentially fall asleep and not miss out on it anyway. So just might as well just not watch it. So it like Jake Gyllenhaal was good, but everything else was just not there. It the reason the original one worked, it was just a simple story. This one was just too much going on, even just from the bit I watched. The fight scenes looked terrible with the fucking 360 shots, the constant 360 shots for every fight scene. It was just and it just looked bad, so nah. Sorry guys, I couldn't finish that shit. I just couldn't do it. It's like, alright. But anyway, guys. But I figured why not talk about it a little bit so I to mention it. But yeah, so this was definitely better than that. Ricky Stanicky, thumbs up. For a modern comedy, this was pretty good. Alright, y'all. Talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.